I just wanted to share with you guys part of the message of Surah Al-Asr. Even though this is one of the shortest surahs in the Quran, it has one of the deepest and heaviest messages. And I will only try to get across the big picture summary so that we can all take it and try to implement it in our lives. But like I said, it's one of the shortest surahs, and the amount of research that's been done on it, it's daunting. Like the tafsir I listened to, it was 4 hours on these 3 ayahs. So I'm just going to try to make it short and, not be so annoying, I guess. This surah is said to be a surah of warning, and in many ways is the summary of all of Deen and the Quran. I will get back to that later at the end of the session and, tie that back in so you guys have a better understanding of what I mean by that. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me clarity of speech, that I may be able to get the lessons of this surah across to you without much confusion. So I think it would be beneficial for all of us to start with some imagery so we can all visualize and tie in with the message of the surah. Alright, so imagine with me that you are drowning and you are unconscious. Do you have a lot of time? No, you don't. You don't have a lot of time, which means time is running out. And the word for that in Arabic is al-asr. Al-asr literally means time that is being squeezed out of your hands. Even Salatul Asr is the last part of the day, and time is running out. In ancient societies, especially in the Arab society, Asr was the time when the merchant and the traveler, they were always in a hurry, because in nighttime there's a lot of danger, so they can't protect their assets. So there was a lot of hustle and bustle and around Asr time. So now I'm going to go back to the visualization and the scene of our drowning. So let me refresh your memory. So you're drowning and you're unconscious. What is the first thing you must do in order to survive? I could use some participation here too. Yeah, you gotta wake up, right? You gotta, if you want to survive, you gotta wake up. If you stay unconscious, you will continue drowning. So that is the first condition you must meet. Even if you're in the most wonderful dream, driving a Ferrari and having a beautiful house and living the American dream, you must wake up and face the reality. And when you do wake up, you decide you were having an amazing dream, and this is a nasty reality. So you decide to go back to sleep. What kind of person does that make you? Insane, right? Insane. Or someone who has no courage to accept reality. Now, if you do go back to sleep after learning the truth and finding out what the reality is, can you blame anyone but yourself?
No.
Exactly. A person who never woke up, maybe, right? Because then they can blame someone because nobody woke them up, right? They never woke up. But a person, hang on. But a person who woke up and said, this doesn't look too good, and went back to sleep, you have no one to blame but yourself. Okay, let's say you do stay awake. What's next?
Swim back to shore.
Yeah, you gotta... well, you can't breathe underwater, so... Yeah. So, you're drowning, and even if you don't know how to swim, will you not use every single muscle in your body to get to the top?
Yeah, you will.
And some of the motions you do will make you go further down, and some motions that will make you go up. Once you figure out which motions actually help you, you will only do those, right? I could use a little more participation from the kids, because this is especially for the kids.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so the first condition was to wake up, and the second was to do motions that will help you get to the surface. So now you get to the surface and gasp for air. All of a sudden, you get pulled down. You won't believe this. You look down, and there's a chain around your foot, and on the other end is your sleeping cousin. What are you going to do?
Wake your cousin up?
Yeah, you have to wake him up, right? And you're not even saving him for his good. You're doing it for your own survival. Maybe you do want to save him. I don't know, maybe you don't even like your cousin. You don't want to save him. But the point is, you got to still save him, and because your survival is at stake as well. So you go back down to him, wake him up, and he says, dude, I was just having the best dream ever. I was driving a Ferrari, and I'm going back to sleep. Forget you. Are you going to be like, oh, I never liked you anyways. Suit yourself. Can you say that? No, you can't say that. Because, you know, like I said, your survival is at stake as well. So if he goes back to sleep, you're going to be like, no, man, come on, let's go, wake up. We can't give up. And you have to keep waking him up until he finally wakes up. He says, okay, what do we do? So you both swim to the surface together this time. This time you both get pulled down by your grandma, your mother, your aunt, your sister, your neighbor. Does the process continue? Yeah, so there's a 4-part process to surviving here. First, you have to wake up yourself. Then you have to try to swim to the surface. Then you have to tell the other people you're tied to that this is the truth, this is the reality, wake up. And lastly, to have patience and perseverance for when you get tired of doing this over and over and over. So now we're going to go back to Surah Al-Asr. So what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in the surah? First of all, he says, Wal Asr, time is running out. Then he says, Innal insana lafi khusr. Literally translated means all humans are drowned in loss. You see the parallel now? The scenario I just depicted for you guys? So what's the exception? Those who believed. Believed what? Believed they were in loss, that they were drowning. Now, would you show up? I'm going back to, real world scenario right now. So would you show up late for work or not do the work your boss assigned you? You will do it, right? At least I hope so. All the parents and all the mothers that work. So you'll do it, right? So that is because you truly believe that if you don't do it or show up late to work, you'll be fired. So you have that fear of urgency, and that's the kind of urgency we need to develop and have a strong belief. And once they realize they are really drowning, they will correct their iman and do good deeds to help correct their situation, just like you trying to swim to the surface. But because they're tied to other people, what else did they have to do? They had to tell the others of the truth repeatedly, not just once, but repeatedly. And they might get tired of doing it and grow impatient. That is why the 4th condition is to have patience, perseverance, and consistency. You have to have as-sabr, because if you don't, you will also drown with them, even though you have completed the first 3 conditions. So how many conditions are required to survive here?
5.
Who said 5? Who said 6?
5. I said 6.
And they're happy with it.
So all 4 of the conditions must be met here for us in order to save us from this loss and to escape the hellfire. Something important to note here is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mandated loss for all human beings in the 2nd ayah, Innal insana lafi khusr. Now in general, what is more in number, the rule or the exception? The exception.
Rule.
Since when is the exception more in number? The rule, right? So what we understand from this is that majority of the human beings will die in loss, and there will be only a few who escape the hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among the exception. Ameen. And now we have, we've been talking about survival so far in the surah. But what we didn't cover is success. There's no mention of what Jannah or what lush gardens or for those who meet these conditions. So what we can take from this is that this is the bare minimum. It is what we students call passing grades in school. Like I was just talking to Adil upstairs, like the passing grade in New York is 65, and anything below that is a fail. So we're talking about survival here in this surah. There's no success. If you do all 4 conditions, you pass. If you don't do some and not